Starship vehicle. Tower clear, ready, pixel. Propulsion for the first stage engines normally. One cycle the rear hammers and starters. Or flying twice the thrust of the Saturn V into space.
Continuing to get good call out. Trajectory looking nominal. Systems looking nominal. Just amazing to see all 33 roll once again. All right, we just passed.
Going through the period of maximum aerodynamic pressure.
This one we've already passed. That 5 second prep system.
Tells us Starship is through the period of velocity increases. The density of the atmosphere is decreasing. Letting stress down the vehicle. The call out. Next two down. 7 seconds from now. Get ready, the booster will shut down all but 3 of the last
the next major milestone is going to be at
continuing to watch the first stage as they head down range.
Just about 90 seconds to do that. We're going to shut down all of the 3 center Raptor engines to get super heavy.
100 seconds into flight.
That'll be when Nico and those engines cut off.
Our next major activity is going to be shutdown of the first stage. Booster tracking stations now requiring the vehicle.
The sea levels
With shutdown, we will get separation of Starship and Super Heavy and ignition of the Starship engines. Starship separates. We light up 6 engines in a staggered sequence. If all goes well, those 6 engines will burn for almost 6.5 minutes. Onboard view from Starship. Engine power continues to look nominal on stage as we prepare for stage separation. Down the first engine for stage separation. First stage is flying with us. Begin a boost back maneuver for landing in the Gulf.
The booster engines start to shut down. You'll see all the 3 lights go out in the middle. Turn off we'll see the engines ignite the ship, pushing it away, and that will start carrying the ship into space. Booster will start to push it.
Get ready for main engine cutoff.
Setting it up for eventual splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico.
Beginning the flip for stage separation.
Hot staging is confirmed. Boosters now making its way back, seeing 6 engines ignited on ship. Okay, we got a Starship on its way to space and a booster on the way back to the Gulf. A ship on the way to space.
I need a mercy to rip my jaw from the floor because these views are stunning.
First stage our ship is still underway with their new performing us the stage on the ship. Everything we just good nominal there. First stage is normal performing the news factor. I'm expecting that to last about 1 minute. He's back to landing and the water propels the booster back towards the coast, taking it to a landing in the waters of the vulnerability, only using staging engines, probably boosters like 13 separate engines for boosters that bounce whenever they relight the computer to see that in the left bottom of down stage. Those are the ones that can gimbal. In other words, they move and change direction in order to change the thrust to steer the first stage exactly. So this is these are just incredible views. As you mentioned, this is a engine fixed ignited. Everything is looking good for both the first stage on the left-hand side of the screen or the lightweight booster, as well as on the right-hand side of your screen. That is Starship, or we also refer to that as the ship. Now, after we jettison that hot stage, the booster will begin the boost back burn. Was the first of 2 burns required to return it to time the ship. The next one will be about landing burn, where all 13 center engines will initially ignite and then transition into a final engine burn to help slow it down. Just as a reminder of the stage 1 objectives, we're looking for control descent, which we have so far. Stage separation, which should just cruise right through it, as well as you just heard, everything's looking good. Good news there, telling us that the path that Starship is on is good. Now, Starship's second stage is still firing its engines, and as you heard, following planned flight path, basic objectives are looking for hot staging again, cruise right through that, water landing, demonstrate ship control, descent, all 6 critical engines, 3 sea level. Now the bottom right-hand corner of the screen shows the ship engine graphics, so be sure to keep an eye on those.
And if it makes it this far,
Yeah, Kate, like this is just a phenomenal test so far. Super Heavy is performing beautifully today. It's on its return leg of the journey.
These views have
Ship continuing to burn its 6 engines, those larger circles, the Raptor vacuum engine, the inner circles, the Raptor sea level engines.
And you can hear the crowd is very excited about it. As a reminder,
About
4
30
boosters, the
seconds
primary goal
away,
today is to do
just
a
about 30 seconds away from the start of the
we
boost
are
back
just about
burn.
30 seconds away from that landing burn.
Excuse me, the landing burn on the booster. You
You
can see the grid fin just rotating. Those hypersonic grid fins are guiding us through the atmosphere back towards our splashdown site. Again, we're going for a hard
Now you can see this incredible view of Earth as it's making its way back down to the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, the
landing
booster is
burn,
using
we're going to
its 4
expect to see the
hypersonic grid
13
fins to
center
guide
engines
itself through the
light,
atmosphere
rapidly
re-entry.
bring down the booster's velocity, and then
We
just
are
3
expecting a landing burn
in
here.
the center to splashdown. Let's see if that'll work. The goal is to
We will be exciting.
We're getting to the Q engines.
And this is a great view on the left-hand side. Is a view. It's 3 views from the booster, and the right-hand side a view
And
from the ship.
acquisition of signal. We'll see if we can get some other video of that. Now, this is a test objective today. It is still something that we're attempting to learn. And to make it that far, to demonstrate the controlled re-entry up to that point is pretty darn good. Ship continuing to look nominal with its ascent burn. This burn lasting about 6 minutes total.
if the booster had survived, we would
And we're expecting that this burn will end just after it takes 8 minutes, about a minute from now. So far, though, I mean, congrats to the team. Making it this far is farther than we've gone on Flight 2. Just wonderful views and great engine performance from the vehicle.
successfully splashdown of the Super Heavy booster. Love seeing it just
So far, we've hit controlled ascent. We're in the middle of that right now. We demonstrated the hot staging. Kate, as you said, cruised through that. We demonstrated controlled entry of the booster. Just stopped a little short of the engine relay, but hey, that's something we can learn for the next one.
Yeah, now that view that we just had moments ago was a live shot of Star Command. There you see it again. This is our Mission Control Center at Starbase, where vehicle operators are standing by. Now, the next milestone coming up is in less than a minute. At that point, ship will, I'm sorry, actually it already has. Inspecting those, and there we go. So those have also successfully as you heard there by the call out and from the crowd behind us. Starship's 6 Raptor engines have successfully shut down. Amazing views once again from Starship. Not orbital insertion, which is incredible. Look at these views taken by Starlink, which is on board the ship. Dan, what an incredible view we have once again.
Just
So excited
completely
about another
blown away
share in
right
space.
now. What a day. Congratulations to the entire SpaceX team. I mean, this flight pretty much just started.
This
whole building
was going.
We're farther than we've ever been before. We've got a Starship not just in space, but on its coast phase into space.
Wow. Congrats
Just to recap
everybody that's
where
just been
we've
putting
gone.
in insane amounts
It's
of
only
hours
been
and
9.5
everything to
minutes.
make
How has
this
it only
thing
been 9.5
a reality?
minutes? We left it off right on time
we do
at
one of these, we're seeing
8:25
something
a.m. We didn't have to
wildly
hold
new.
it
We got to
at
see
our
the
gate at all. We had 33
and
of 33
the
Raptor
booster
engines open up
Just to recap real
and
quick,
light and get us through a nominal ascent. Another successful hot stage. All 6 engines on the ship propelling us into orbit. We did see what looked like a nominal boost back burn, and then we did make it all the way to the landing burn this time. Didn't light all the engines that we expected, and we did lose the booster. We'll have to go through the data to figure out exactly what happened. Obviously, So be on the lookout for information about that. But wow, a ship in space. We've got a bunch of, as we said, ambitious objectives ahead of us. Over the next couple of minutes, pretty much over the next hour, where we're going to really, we've got the ship in space. We're now going to take advantage of this and try and learn as much as possible about some of the other systems, including that first ever Raptor relight in space. So it's just going to be incredible. So all of that still to come. The mission just started, but wow, what a liftoff! What a hot stage! What an amazing sight to see Starship there in outer space.
Just in the hot stage, and then
I can't believe we're seeing it in space. This is awesome.
Wonderful.
Now, we are going to be coasting for the next about 30 minutes or so. We'll be back around the T+40 minute mark, and that'll be Starship continuing to coast, hit those ambitious test objectives, and then continue on to re-entry. We're not totally sure what video that we'll get, since that normally comes to us as we overfly ground stations, and we don't have a ton of those along our trajectory, but as we have video, we'll be sure to bring that to you.
Starlink may be able to bring us additional communication paths today that will allow us to talk to Starship through re-entry with no communications blackout period. It's a possibility, but either way, we will be live for all of today's milestones.
That was some incredible
and of course,
views
when
that
we
we
do
have never
have views,
seen before. It has been
especially like the ones that we have now, which I just cannot get over.
And with the booster
when we
having
have views,
completed
we will
its
be
job
sure to
for the
bring
day,
those to you
we're going
live.
to take
But
a short
views
break
or no
for
views,
about
we'll
the
see
next
you back
28
here
minutes,
at
and we'll
T+40
return
minutes.
while we're going to take a break
And there
while
we just
the
heard
ship
call of
is
that PEZ door is opening, so that's great.
First
Before
test.
re-entry. One of our test objectives today is to open and close that PEZ door. That's where we will deploy Starlink satellites from in the future. So great news there that that test blackout. We are still testing Starlink during this phase of flight, underway. Of course, nothing. Come back here. Stick around till T+40 minutes for coverage of Starship's deorbit burn, views such as demonstration, followed by its re-entry, and what is sure to be an exciting splashdown. We will try to bring those to you live.
Exactly. Views or no views, we'll see you back here at T+40 minutes for coverage of Starship's re-entry, flip maneuver, landing burn, and splashdown.
Expected loss signal, Key West. Expected loss signal, Cape Canaveral. Expected loss of signal, Cape Canaveral. Accuracy signal, Puerto Rico. PEZ trigger. lost the signal. Where do we go? Expect a lost signal, Puerto Rico. Acquisition of signal, Idris. is in propellant transfer demo. Starship flight computer is in the propellant transfer complete state. Pairs checkout complete. Door is closing.
shuttle has started.
Acquisition of signal. Acquisition of signal. Hard to be stopped. Starship is flying to entry attitude.
Welcome back to live coverage of our third Starship flight test, which lifted off from Starbase, Texas at 8:25 a.m. Central Time. Our main objective today was to get through all of our ascent burns and collect as much data as possible, including a potential Starship entry. And we just came out of a coast phase and were treated to a number of HD views thanks to Starlink, including the PES door open-close test. So that was one of our test objectives today that we met. So that's awesome. It has been such a great day.
It has been a phenomenal test day. Just to see booster lifting a Starship to ascent, ship completing its ascent. Just a wonderful day. Kind of to recap the objectives a little bit. Booster completed its ascent, ignited its 33 Raptor engines. We demonstrated a successful hot staging for the second time. Booster completed the boost back burn, didn't quite accomplish the landing burn, and then had a hard splashdown in the Gulf. Meanwhile, ship completely successful after the hot staging. We had a good 6-engine burn of the Raptor vacuum engines and sea level engines. And then we've commanded a number of demonstrations, including the Starlink satellite deploy demo, so the payload door, as well as a prop transfer demonstration. We do still need to do some data review on those, so as we get that data back, we'll be sure to update you on social for how those tests went. We are coming up on our next major milestones, which is an in-space relight of our Raptor engine for the first time, followed by re-entry and then landing in the Indian Ocean.
Incredible.
Yeah, that's right, guys. We should be just about 40 seconds away, 40 or 50 seconds away, if we do this relight demo. Do want to stress this is not a deorbit burn. In fact, it's actually going to function a little bit opposite of a deorbit burn. We're going to be raising our perigee with this burn, or the lowest point of our orbit. This is just to demonstrate that we can relight a Raptor engine on ship while it's gone through a coast, while it's in outer space, while it's in microgravity. All of the different complexities that come with lighting this engine again after it's already done an ascent burn, but you're now coasting through space. This is going to be really important anytime we want to do in-space maneuvers in the future, like eventual deorbit burns, any of our
super heavy booster
translunar injections that will have Raptor engines firing back up.
Return of the
we may not do it. There is all of the guidance is loaded into Starship's computer itself, so if it doesn't see the values that it needs to, we could just skip the burn. So we are waiting to find out if that's going to happen or not. If it doesn't, as we said at the beginning, we're on a pretty steep trajectory that we are coming home no matter what, regardless of doing a burn. This was done just so we can really, we're in a trajectory that's really not super susceptible to delta V changes in velocity. If we were to do a burn, we've got a pretty concise footprint in the Indian Ocean that we're going to be targeting for splashdown today.
5 miles.
It does sound like we are skipping past
moving through the atmosphere
the
results in
on-orbit
friction
relay
and
demo
creates a
this
plasma
time.
field around the vehicle.
Again, we'll confirm all of this through our post-flight data review, but it did sound like we did pass through that burn.
Communication
So now that's going to start setting us up for
blackout in
re-entry.
communication. 8 kilometers
per second, or about 5 miles.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So coming up next around T plus 49 minutes is Starship re-entry. Now, this is typically a portion of flight where we don't have communications with spacecraft because they're re-entering the Earth's atmosphere at or around orbital velocity, about 8 kilometers per second or roughly 5 miles per second. Super fast. Now, at those speeds, the spacecraft's interaction with the atmosphere results in friction and creates a plasma field around the vehicle. That blanket of plasma distorts communication frequencies, so all we're basically left with a brief communications blackout. Now, we might get some telemetry back through a connection to the tracking and data relay satellite system, also known as TDRS. But if the plasma doesn't entirely block it, that connection will be at a very slow data rate and definitely too slow for any video.
But that's why Starship and Starlink are a great partnership. Starship is so big that it will leave a wake or a hole in the plasma field as it flies through an atmosphere. You can think of a wake kind of like when you see a boat going through the ocean. It sort of leaves a trail behind it. There's some of those great views from Starlink giving us views of Starship's onboard videos. And so we're hoping that the Starlink on board will let us, just like we're seeing these videos now, see through that plasma field by maintaining a continuous communication lock with the satellites on orbit through the wake that Starship leaves behind. Now, this is only the second time that we're testing Starlink during re-entry, so even though we do have these great visuals now, don't be surprised if we manage to get some signal hiccups through. We're still learning about what that wake will actually look like in practice and whether we're able to get that live continuous high-speed data during re-entry.
One of my favorite NASA astronauts, Victor Glover, recently described it.
One of the really primary reasons we want to use Starlink is to just gather as much data as
pointing at a
possible.
raging river.
The data is the payload.
Tell me exactly what's happening right there.
Where we're putting this flight hardware in a real flight environment, trying to learn
moving
about
through
it
the
as much as
atmosphere.
possible. Re-entry is going to be a really critical phase of flight.
Heating up.
We really want to know how the ship's going to perform, especially that heat shield,
being able to
as
see
we're going
what's
through the
happening
hypersonic re-entry. So if something were to go wrong during this re-entry, we want as many maps as possible to collect that information, that data,
so if you
just
see
to
rotating around
continually feed back into the Starship program
so
to make
as
each
you
flight
get
more reliable, more successful.
and starts to build up
Insulate the
density in the
vehicle
atmosphere,
during atmospheric entry.
those
At that point in time, temperatures can be as high as 26,000 degrees
this view is going to move around.
Now, if Starship manages to make it all the way through re-entry, we'll collect valuable data on Starship flying through the Earth's atmosphere at hypersonic speeds, meaning more than 5, or at this point, will be more than 5 times the speed of sound.
In terms of
and then also eventually.
Now we're watching these live views, HD views by the looks of it, thanks to Starlink. You can see that the flaps there on the ship might be actuating.
We're going to be moving at hypersonic speeds more than 5 times the speed of
some
sound. We're going to see
incredible
that build. So
visions of
just
planet
the
Earth
excitement
behind Starship.
Yeah,
As you can see, we've already validated Starship's ability to fly and land at some beginning speeds. You might recall those suborbital flights from a few years ago, and we can see those now flaps there.
Let's talk a little bit about how Starship will survive re-entry.
About getting data on aspects like heating and control while traveling way faster than we did before.
There's 18,000 hexagonal ceramic tiles surrounding the bottom portion or the earth-facing side of the ship.
One of the things that enables Starship to help control itself and
now during the atmospheric re-entry, the vehicle is going to see temperatures as high as 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit or over 1,400 degrees Celsius. So those tiles are there to help protect the vehicle from this extreme heat.
Back and forth.
And the
part of what you're also seeing is one of the cameras that's onboard view that we have is on the end of a flap. Starship has front flaps and rear flaps for the
so that is
vehicle.
a great sign,
So we've
right?
got 4 of those.
Unplanned
And
loss
oh man, we can see the heating on those flaps as we're starting to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere. This is where the Earth's atmosphere is doing the work to slow us down.
Like we said, this plasma field is stainless steel, and they steer the ship, which as we can see,
so big that we're hoping that the plasma field
if doesn't entirely blanket the entire vehicle, right now it is not. The Starlinks are
brought to you by
still,
Starlink.
yeah, the Starlinks are still communicating and still capturing the data in the video that we see here. I mean, similarly, just absolutely incredible views. We've never seen anything like this before. This is the biggest flying object we are getting during this flight.
Absolutely, Kate.
Again, we usually don't
it's
get
important
during
to
the
note
spaceflight because
the
of the
ascent
plasma. We're
burn that
getting
we
this
did
live
was to get us to orbital velocities,
So
even though we were on a nearly
for example,
orbital
the
trajectory.
number 10
So the
test
heating and the
we saw
loads that
years
Starship
ago,
is going
we're
through
hoping
right
to
now
duplicate that
are
again
what it
today.
would keep
Hopefully we will
getting
see it
if it were recovering from an orbital mission.
Basically, the
And just the fact that we have
of the
used
ship
through
will
entries, this is
reignite.
incredible.
And again, this is the furthest and fastest that Starship has ever flown down so that it can land vertically using and you can definitely tell by
And as you can see, even from the beginning of the program, we've designed Starship to land
The
on
heat
Mars
shield
where there are no
tiles doing
runways
their
or other
work. We
things
talked
like
about
that.
it earlier.
We also want rapid
Up to
reusability.
2,600 degrees Fahrenheit that those heat shield tiles are dissipating as we are
Great
re-entering.
news. Flaps have control of the
Yeah, now
vehicle.
this
That's
was one
exactly
of the
what we want to hear for this flight test.
one of the key
Again, we
mission
are going to be
objectives that
doing
we
a
were hoping
propulsive
to hit
landing
today.
instead of a more
We
traditional
have
means
never, like I said,
like
before, this is the
parachutes.
fastest and
And
furthest
we
that
are
Starship has
expecting
ever
re-entry to
flown.
begin
So
here
this is the
in
first time
just
that we're
about a
getting to
minute.
collect this
Re-entry
re-entry data and understand how
awesome
these
view that we have
18,000
here.
hexagonal heat shield tiles, this is the working together to protect the belly of Starship as it re-enters the Earth's atmosphere. Once again, the atmosphere is doing us a big favor here by, it's incredible that literally at the bottom of this actually doing us a huge favor here by acting as a braking system, which is for Starship as it re-enters the atmosphere.
Very
And
wild.
that's part of the reason
Now we are
why the
expecting
flaps are so
entry to
important.
begin
They're using
here
the
in
body
about 30
of
seconds or
Starship
so.
and the drag
Entry
from
to
the atmosphere
splashdown
to
is
slow us
expected
down
to
from
last
orbital
about
speed.
6
But you
minutes
want the
long.
vehicle to remain stable.
And
You
that
want
flip
those heat
maneuver
shield tiles
should occur
pointed
around
down
about 10 minutes before
so they can absorb the
splashdown.
heat of the Earth's atmosphere.
And such
And
incredible
so that's the
views that we're
purpose that
getting.
they're serving during the hypersonic phase and then again
Great
during the
call out
subsonic
there.
phase.
Absolutely. So like we said, these views are being provided by a couple Starlink terminals that are positioned on Starship itself. As that plasma builds,
And in your bottom right-hand corner, you can also follow along with the altitude
but you can see the telemetry
ship
there
as
on
it's
the right-hand
returning
side of your
back to
screen.
Earth.
If you watch closely, you can see the speed decelerating again. That's the once again this view is of the atmosphere resulting in this plasma field, the blanket that is potentially blocking the Starlink terminals right now. So we'll bring these views back to you. As you can see on your screen, you can look in the bottom right-hand corner and see how fast it's going, how high it is, as well as the general orientation. Again, we're seeing a lot more stability, a lot more control here on this flight, which is great. It shows that the iterations, the learning
is now an expected peak heating region.
we are hoping that all four great news there, telling us that this is basically the hottest point that Starship should get during its re-entry. Now, the heat shield is working with the atmosphere for some free braking. Okay, the atmosphere is helping to slow the Starship down. Starship is
Yeah, exactly. We're not using any engines or thrust to slow the vehicle down. Exactly what Kate mentioned. We're just using the atmosphere and those heat shield tiles protecting the vehicle as it's coming through that high heat temperature.
Yeah. Now this is another one of those moments that we have been waiting for. Right now, the ship is currently re-entering the Earth's atmosphere, and by all looks and all call-outs that we're hearing on the net, it is doing pretty well. Now, we do not plan to recover the spacecraft today, but rapid and reliable reusability is the ultimate goal.
We added some additional, basically made it a lot more robust for the thermal protection.
Just pausing to just take in this incredible new and different view that we're seeing. We did get a similar view in Flight 3, but again, the vehicle did lose a little bit of its control, attitude control, and this is a very stable view. This is great. This is exactly what we want, and we are hearing that we're getting expected call-outs.
Starship is seeing half a G of acceleration, remains on a good entry trajectory.
Or a tile is
You know, it's
broken,
incredible
anything like that,
to
we've
look
got
at this photo
usually backup
and
options.
wonder,
And what we're
wait,
really
is it
trying
real?
to do today
Is it frozen?
is
You know, we can see the, yeah, so I was just going to say we can.
Those temperatures have stopped increasing.
A lot of your control,
Oh, that is great news. The temperature is no longer building. But I was saying, like, we have a little bit of indication there. We can see that streaking occurring, that occurs, and tells us that this is indeed a true view. So once again, we are looking basically through the plasma that is building up through, or excuse me, around the exterior of the ship.
And I still cannot get over that we are getting a live view of re-entry right now, live on your screen. Again, we've said this over and over, but all thanks to Starlink, we are able to use Starlink in space, which we're getting this incredible data. And not only just the data from the sensors, but getting live imagery of what is actually happening, which is great, which we've never been able to do live before.
Right. Now, just a quick future outlook here. So in about, let's see, at T plus about 1 hour and 2 minutes, we should hear a call out for entry transonic. That means that the ship is going near the speed of sound. And then about a minute after that, we'll hear another call out saying entry subsonic, meaning that the ship is going below the speed of sound. So these are all continued indications that the atmosphere, right, as the ship comes back down, it is getting through the more dense part of the atmosphere, and that atmosphere is helping to push against the vehicle, and those heat shields are protecting the vehicle during this high heat period. Earlier, this lasts roughly 10-ish minutes. And we did hear earlier that the flaps have control
Jesse, we're
of the
starting
vehicle,
to
so
see as
also
the atmosphere
good
gets
news
denser,
there.
you're starting to see a few more
it is
particles
incredible
make an
that we've
appearance in
basically
the plasma
had
there. You
views
can
the
see
entire
you're
time.
looking down at the aft end of the ship in the top left, and
memory did
you're
black
seeing
out a little
essentially
bit
the
after
flame
booster
buildup
catch,
as we
so
go
I
through
think we had
re-entry.
views.
You've been hearing the call-outs, they're tracking
we had
things
some
like
beautiful
temperatures
views
and the
of
nose cone,
planet
and
Earth
those
behind
were
the ship
right
as
where
it was
we
in its
modeled
orbit.
them to be, which is really
and
cool to
I
see
also do
and
want
to
to
see
point
in
out
real
on your
time.
right-hand screen, we've
But
got
we're coming up, we're at about 67 kilometers in altitude. Our last signal with the ship on Flight 3 was at 65, so we should be making it past that point shortly. Obviously, as you guys pointed out, we're in a much better control this time as we re-entered in the right attitude, and our flaps have been steering the way so far. Once we get through transonic, that's when you've got essentially different areas around the vehicle where the air is either moving faster or slower than the speed of sound. We'll eventually get to subsonic, which we have some experience with. We did in our suborbital campaign. The Starship will eventually
Now we heard a
get
call
down
out there
to
saying
its
that
terminal
engine
velocity
chill has begun.
as it's
This is an
floating down
indication that we
to
are
the water.
starting to
That's
flow
just
a
about
little
200
bit
miles
of
an hour or
the,
so. We
super
are
cold
hearing that
liquid oxygen
we're starting to
through,
chill some of the
hardware,
engines
through the
as we
Raptor
are.
engine,
If
specifically
we make
the
it all the way
turbo
down to
pumps,
the water, still going to
help
attempt a landing
ensure
burn,
that
but still
the hardware
a ways
is
to
at
go.
the right
We're
temperature,
at about 64
before
kilometers
we
in
give a
altitude
full
right now. We
push,
made
a
it
full
through
flow
what's
of
expected to be the
propellant,
peak
at
heating,
engine
but now
startup.
we're going to start encountering
So all of that to
increased
say, we are
pressures
getting
as the
closer to the
atmosphere
landing
gets thicker
burn.
and thicker.
We definitely are, and again, if you look at the bottom right hand of your screen,
So we're at 63 kilometers, so we've already made it farther than we did on our last flight when that last signal was coming at 65 kilometers.
63 kilometers from planet Earth, and you'll see that number.
So again, what we're really looking at here is the performance of the heat shield, of the flaps, of the seals and the flaps. There's just a whole bunch of different areas that we're keeping a really close eye on as we re-enter.
Longer. We have about 10 minutes or so, roughly, before we execute the landing, the ignition for the
Starship
landing
remains
burn,
on a good
starting
entry
with
trajectory.
the landing flip. So we're making a controlled re-entry. This
Looking
is
like we're
one
still
of
on a
the
good
primary
trajectory. If you're
objectives
seeing
for
little
Starship
camera
today
moves,
is to
that's the
demonstrate
flap
another
moving as it
controlled
continues
re-entry,
to
even more
maintain
controlled than what we saw on
the
Flight
attitude
4.
of the vehicle
and
as
so
it
far,
re-enters.
that is looking good.
And I mean, not just camera views, but we've got sensors inside the ship. We've got those sensors down at the very aft end of the vehicle where we pointed out we had some intentionally missing tiles. We've got some sensors looking at just how hot it's getting around there. we
intentionally put those in essentially the least critical part of the heat shield, where if
pretty incredible after
you had any kind of a breach, it wouldn't be great for reusability, but wouldn't be critical for actual making it through the reentry into the landing.
Splash down at a little bit of a gentler angle this time instead of just kind of
58 kilometers. We're continuing to descend.
And the goal with that is
again, right now we are over the Indian Ocean. We're actually getting closer and closer to that expected splashdown point, which is just to the off the northwest corner of Australia.
We get like a couple extra seconds or minutes of data coming from the ship after
Starship has
splashdown.
passed through the peak heating phase of flight, approaching maximum entry dynamic pressure.
All right, we're through peak heating. Coming up is,
and if you keep an eye on our speed, the speed is dropping. We're hitting the thicker part of the atmosphere now. The speed's going to start dropping precipitously.
We're still moving really fast.
We're going to start getting to transonic pretty soon, and then after that we'll get into subsonic, where we're moving less than the speed of sound. But wow, what a light show so far.
Looks like we got more views of each of the flaps on the ship as it's making its way back down to Earth.
External temperatures are starting to come down.
Again,
and we did pass through
this camera view is looking right at
really
one of
the
forward flaps.
Period. Typically during the highest heat on the vehicle,
we're strategically putting some cameras around the vehicle to just look at the different areas. Looks like we got the flap starting to come apart a little.
Some live views throughout that entire process there.
Yeah, it does appear that we have a little bit of burn through there. We can see pieces of the vehicle flying off. What a show it has been. It's been like watching Interstellar or something.
This is wild to see this, but the ship is still coming down, which is incredible to see.
How far can it go? That is the question.
Keep your eye on the altitude in the bottom right-hand corner. We're at 54 kilometers right now.
Now, ultimately, the data is the payload today. We've been saying it multiple times. Our teams are sitting, reviewing this data live, learning where the hot spots are. As you can see, there's an obvious hot spot there with the flap, and learning how we can improve this design. The goal was to get as far through this high heat re-entry as possible. Ideally, we'd love to make it all the way down and perform that landing burn and flip maneuver, but we may not get that far today. We will see.
Again, this is a test, and we are gathering as much data as possible, visual data as well, which we can see here. We are getting a lot of debris covering the camera on your screen, but we can still see some of those sparks and flames from that high heat as ship is making its way back down to Earth.
Ship now at 50 kilometers. And closing.
Now the views here,
the good news is we still got, looks like that camera lens just cracked.
We can see,
it's safe to say ship's getting a little beat up, but that's to be expected on a test flight. We are still learning how to improve the ship for total survival and recovery of the high heat re-entry.
I'm honestly impressed that we're still getting this live view despite how much debris is coming off of this flap right now.
We can start to see some heat
buildup. The fact that we've got it is good news
on one of the flaps there in the top left-hand corner.
And I may have jinxed it. I apologize. Look at that. It's back.
We are still going.
And the teams here at SpaceX are excited, as you can tell by the cheering behind us. There's still a sizable crowd here at Mission Control Center, Hawthorne.
45 kilometers above
the splashdown is expected in just about 4 minutes from
now.
now.
We are targeting a soft splashdown in the Indian Ocean.
We're still moving. We still have live views. Starlink is doing an incredible job.
Maximum entry dynamic pressure.
Attempting to,
external temperatures are dropping.
Make a perform
okay, good news, those external pressures are dropping. The question is, how much the ship is left?
All right, so
we can't really tell. We can still see some of that particulate coming off.
Basically max Q
and unfortunately, we do have a cracked camera lens. But for any photographers out there and videographers, we know that's part of the gig sometimes.
Yeah, and you can see that the speed is rapidly slowing down. That's actually really great news for us. We want want the vehicle to be slowing down before it splashes down into the ocean. That'll help set us up for that flip maneuver, engines first down into the water.
Exactly. So we have seen this flip maneuver demonstrated on previous high-altitude flight tests like serial number 8. Oh, more views. Or excuse, I should say, more light coming through the view that we have through that cracked and dirty lens there. But yeah, so we're hoping that this flip maneuver, that we can pull it off as soon as we get those views back. If we can get them, if the ship is still around, we will bring it back to you.
Vehicle has passed maximum dynamic pressure.
6 engines on ship, but we only
That is
need
great
3 of
news.
them, the 3
Maximum dynamic
sea-level
pressure
engines.
being the moment in which the vehicle experiences the greatest amount of aerodynamic pressure.
We'll do that flip
Speed
maneuver,
still dropping.
ignite
We're
those
now at
engines,
37
slow
kilometers
vehicle
above
down
the ocean.
immediately, and then hopefully have
Just like Flight 3, we are targeting a splashdown in the water in the Indian Ocean.
In the water. It's probably
We don't have a live view right now, but because we're still getting data and telemetry, that does tell us that ship is still doing okay at least.
Phase of the flight, so fingers crossed that we can.
There we got that live view back. The crowd very excited to see that view, despite not being able to see very much.
The fact that it's there tells us the ship is still alive.
Yes, and collecting data, continuing to collect data as we get closer and closer to Earth.
More than yes, now 30 kilometers, now 29 above the Indian Ocean.
30 kilometers altitude, Mach
traveling
2.
about the speed of sound. And then we will hear a call out that it is. Sounds like the vehicle's traveling, as we just heard, and then we will hear Mach 2, which is saying that it is subsonic, meaning going looks slower like we than the speed of sound. Might.
Starship is transonic.
There it is. So at this, I thought maybe it might clear up. It is a little bit. So at this point in time, now at T plus 1 hour, 3 minutes and 13 seconds like the into Starship Flight 4, might be experiencing hoping that the ship can hang on. It's probably potentially hanging on by a couple of bolts and threads, but it's still going, and that is excellent news.
That deceleration is looking incredible. We're about to go under 1,000 kilometers per hour.
Yeah.
Starship is at 20 kilometers altitude.
Now keep in mind that even though we can't see anything, the data itself is what really
Starship is subsonic.
We're basically subsonic. They're telling us it's traveling below the speed of sound. That movement means the flaps are actuating. I think we can see something.
Coming up here shortly.
This is a nail biter.
Currently having a view
but we are,
of one of the flaps.
unfortunately, we can't see through the lens, but we're still getting the feed. Starship is now 11 kilometers over the ocean. All this data is incredibly important. Even if, it breaks up right now. Okay, we can see that flap actuating through the glass.
Starship is passing through 10 kilometers altitude.
Okay, the next milestone will be initiation of the flip maneuver and landing burn. Keep an eye on the bottom right corner of your screen for those 3 center engines to relight. They will gimbal or angle so that the ship flips itself back up vertical and hopefully lands in a vertical position.
And the crowd is very excited to get this view of that flap still maneuvering.
Starship is passing through 5 kilometers altitude.
So keep an eye on the bottom right-hand side of your screen as well.
This is incredible.
That will be the indicator when the Raptor engines
getting very
ignite.
Close to splashdown.
These fireflies are such a good sign of life right now. We wish we could see more, but we'll take it.
Starship is at 2 kilometers altitude, terminal velocity.
Landing burn started for Starship.
All right, good news there.
Nominal chamber pressure.
Landing burn startup.
Starship is in landing burn.
Landing burn shutdown.
The landing burn shutdown was commanded.
An incredible view of ship landing just about on target as they were calling out.
That was amazing. And we were not intending to recover any of the ship's hardware, so that was the best ending that we could have hoped for.
Man, I don't think we're going to be able to get a ton of extra video of the heat shield, but we hit the target. We hit the target. Yeah. I mean, you know we hit the target because we had these buoys placed in a pretty specific spot, so wow. What a day. I feel like that's what I get to say. What a day. I mean, everything started off today with that launch. We were able to lift off towards the end of our window, 7:25 a.m. Central Time. 33 out of 33 Raptors in the way uphill. Successful hot stage. Booster came back. We watched it come down right behind us. Watched it get caught